Clickbait title. Don't let your kids watch this. Parentheses, adults only. It's fine. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Week I Review. My name is Alec Kubas-Meyer, and on this Not Monday bonus episode, I want to talk about a television show, BoJack Horseman. Season 5 released this past Friday, and I didn't want to wait until next Monday to get out my thoughts. This extra video is generally spoiler-free and does not represent a common new occurrence for this channel. With that out of the way, BoJack Horseman is by far my favorite show on Netflix, and by extension, probably my favorite show on television. The animated story of a washed-up celebrity voiced by Will Arnett in Horseface started off dark and has only gotten more so as the seasons have gone on. I loved the show all the way back in Season 1, more than most. Season 2 really changed things, though, particularly with its episode Hank After Dark, centered on a Cosby-like character in an alternate reality where a woman inadvertently tries to bring him down instead of a man, and she fails where Hannibal Buress in the real world succeeded. It marked a turning point for the show's cultural relevance, the moment where it went from a darn great show to a vital one. I watched the entirety of BoJack Horseman Season 5 in less than 7 hours, skipping the opening and closing credits, which Netflix makes very easy to do, puts the total runtime at about 5. In those extra 2 hours, I was, mostly, recording Monday's episode about Islands of Adventure. Also eating dinner, though I did watch while I was cooking. An oft-documented problem with the dropping every episode at once paradigm of Netflix is that in the full year or so that comes between seasons, or more, as in the case of Stranger Things, it's easy to forget what's going on. When shows air over months, the first episode of a new season is comparatively soon after the finale of its previous one, unless it's like Game of Thrones. Because it's been a year since I last watched BoJack Horseman, something that will now probably become an actual reference point for the passage of time in my life, I had honestly forgotten the narrative threads left off at the end of Season 4. Instead, I remembered its most effective and powerful moments, or even entire episodes that are dedicated more to character than to plot. Episodes like Stupid Piece of Shit and Time's Arrow are genuinely incredible and have left indelible marks. But I couldn't tell you what happened towards the end, so it took me half an episode to actually get my bearings. The show continues to focus on 4+1 characters. There's BoJack, washed-up sad horse trying to make a comeback; Princess Carolyne, BoJack's ex-girlfriend/agent and now producer of this season's Show Within a Show; Todd, asexual comic relief, formerly crashing long-term on BoJack's couch and now doing so on Princess Carolyne's; and Diane, BoJack's closest friend and biographer turned blogger. Diane's now ex-husband and all-around good dog, Mr. Peanut Butter, weaves his way in and out of everyone else's storylines and gets some of his own screen time this season, but even that is ultimately in service of developments relating to those other characters, mostly his ex-wife. In that way, BoJack Horseman Season 5 isn't necessarily welcoming to newcomers. As before, the timelines are fluid, with flashbacks fleshing out backstories that only returning viewers will see and be like, oh, so that's how that happened. But most of those moments are over as soon as they begin. No one could accuse BoJack Horseman of meandering along the way so many Netflix shows do. It's thing after thing after thing. The exception may be the incredible 6th episode, Free Churro, which I think is formally one of the most daring the show has done yet for its commitment to minimalism as little more, and yet so much more, than a 20-minute monologue. But even that covers a whole lot of character ground and features probably the best performance Will Arnett has ever done. I mean, if a man has ever deserved a Primetime Emmy Award for Outstanding Character Voiceover Performance, it would be this for him. But even in that, the show retains its constant stream of jokes and/or other emotions. There is so much going on in BoJack Horseman at any given moment, with half a dozen visual gags in the background of every establishing shot and dialogue that you barely register before it's on to the next thing. It lends itself well to what Netflix is best at: binging and rewatching. By binging the show, though, you commit yourself to its descent into madness. Each episode goes deeper into the psyches of its broken characters, while simultaneously serving as a scathing indictment of society in general and the entertainment industry in particular. It's often uncomfortable, frequently hard to watch, and always impossible to look away from. This time around, BoJack Horseman takes on, among so many other terrible things, sexual harassment and the widespread forgiveness of abusers. And it's rough. The main harassment plotline is fairly light at face value, but has depressing implications. Henry Fondle, a sex robot built by Todd as a would-be gift that says, well, wildly inappropriate sex things, says those things to people until it makes it literally the head of the company producing Filbert, the aforementioned show within a show that everyone else is tangled up in. In a way, it's reminiscent of the bizarre Vincent Adultman arc from the first season, where what was very clearly children on top of each other's shoulders nonetheless had a relationship with Princess Carolyne because no one could see that obvious fact except for BoJack. But while the idea of a robot sex talking its way to the top of the food chain is ridiculous, remove the robot from the equation, then take the overtly sexual language and mask it just a little bit, and suddenly you're faced with something that feels very real, that people accept it as part of the company culture because they think that's just how business is done. It's by sheer force of talent that even once you realize that deep down none of this is funny, you can't stop laughing. The prevalence of forgiveness is much more straight-faced as a plot line, resulting in much more complicated series of emotions. The existence of an award ceremony called the Forgivies that a Mel Gibson-alike wins is something that people can laugh at and feel superior about because it's so obviously terrible, at least as long as they didn't see Hacksaw Ridge, which I did not. You're so brave. The whole show is built around a character who does not deserve forgiveness. Oh boy, does he not deserve forgiveness. But it's so easy to put that out of your mind when he isn't actively being a monster. You feel for him. You maybe even want to forgive him, but he's trying to change, right? Slowly, inconsistently. Maybe it's the circumstances that won't let him, though. Does that even matter? I would like to be judged solely by my intentions this time, he says early in the season. But the road to hell, right? BoJack Horseman never lets its title character off the hook, per se, but the show is now grappling with its potential to normalize the behavior that has made so much effort to not glamorize. And in dialogue, largely given to Diane and co-star of Filbert, Gina, BoJack Horseman talks to itself just as much as its protagonist about that very fact. The conflict there is obvious, and the audience too is implicated in all of this. But what can you even do? Whether you see that implication as an accusation or a good faith attempt to open a dialogue says little about the show and a whole lot about you. I still don't know what it says about me.